What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Raudeza Plays. I'm Raudeza, and guys, it looks like we've come to the end of this beautiful rainbow. I didn't realize that we were going to finish this game this quickly, but nevertheless, here we are. You know, I started off wanting to say something about the gaming industry, and that's one of the reasons that I actually started this video, and it's really funny because it turned into something completely different as I was going through the motions and playing the game and just kind of reliving something that I hadn't experienced because I actually missed out on this game. It's crazy to think that 10 years ago, the gaming industry was so different, right? And we didn't maybe have as much bloated budgets. There was the controversy with what Xbox was trying to do with their initial DRM policies, and now PlayStation is trying to do them. It's really crazy how upside down and flipped everything is, right? It does seem like we're living in the upside down world in terms of what's going on in the gaming industry now, but nevertheless, it's just, I guess the overall central thesis here is we do have to preserve this media. It's a funny thing, actually. My brother JC, he the other day I got together with him and we had to go run some errands and stuff like that, and he said, hey, you know, Alan, I have a bunch of old, not N64, but they were Super Nintendo cartridges, and he just had thrown them out, right? I mean, he had a box full of them, and he's like, hey, do you think you want these? And I'm like, hell yeah, I want them. And basically he dug them out of the garbage and gave them to me. So, you know, along with some old school Disney films, the ones that still had like the vinyl covers and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, give them to me. They're actually still very well preserved. The stickers are still very vibrant and good looking, and it was amazing to me that these things were just getting thrown out because you don't realize the value in them. I'm not going to sell them or anything like that, but I just, you know, I'm all about this mindset of preserving media, and you know, it is what it is. Cortana here has lost her friggin' mind, at least from my perspective, and I'm not sure where they're going with this story yet. Well, I do, because I'm recording this after the fact, but for the purposes of you know, making sure that this is canonically accurate, at this point in the game, I still hadn't known what the hell she was trying to accomplish. But essentially, it's actually very prophetic, and I always go back to like the kind of like Sarah Connor syndrome, right? So in 1992 or 1991, I can't even remember, when the movie was released, she was really talking about the dangers and the proliferation of AI, right? She went to go blow up a Cyberdyne Systems, you know, whatever it was like a manufacturing, or it was some kind of warehouse or something like that. And now it's so topical because we're talking about these AR farms and how they're basically, you know, eating up the water and resources and stuff like that, taking natural resources and replacing them with these AR farms, so to speak, which is kind of interesting because Cortana, I mean, if you think about this 11 years ago, going to be 12 years ago, they're talking about the proliferation of AI, and as you can tell here, it's really funny. All these AIs are basically kind of sounding off and saying that they're with her. This will make sense later on in the video, but you hear all these voices saying that, yes, AI, Cortana, we're with you, we're basically going to support your cause here about elevating or evolving the human race. It's very interesting to me that this was something that was prophesized, the email that went off, that was prophesized 11 years ago, and it's still very relevant. In fact, it's more relevant now, I would say. So at this point and late stage in the game, I can see some of the criticisms that people had with Halo 5 Guardians. It does seem like a lot of this was rinse and repeat in terms of the level design. Don't get me wrong, it is beautiful, but after a while I can see how people were kind of, I don't know, bored, so to speak. I mean, the action was still there for me. The story was relatively interesting, although, I mean, some of the motivations regarding Cortana I didn't quite understand. Clearly, she like, you know, cured herself of rampancy somehow, and for whatever reason, reactivated this Forerunner race, or the Prometheans or whatnot, and she just got this whole thing that she wanted to advance the human race or evolve them. Certainly had a thing with like making sure that Master Chief was on board with her, and there was a very big disagreement there, but nevertheless, she kind of emasculated Master Chief and you know, basically locked his armor, so to speak. But I can see where some of the criticism was. Do I think this game was catastrophically awful? Like some people, got very hyperbolic about this game? No, of course not. I mean, it's not horrible by any means or anything like that. Did it live up to some of the original games? Probably not, but I guess that's a hard act to follow. It's a hard act to follow the original games. Now, I do want to talk a little bit about the recent, and I get, I don't know, the Halo. I've mentioned this before. Why am I acting like if I'm talking about this for the first time? So I will talk about Campaign Evolved. It's not Halo Evolved or whatever. So look, I get it. It is. There's a lot of parts of this remake or redux, whatever you want to call it, that is very cringy. Particularly, I guess people have a lot of objections to what is the prequel missions, or so to speak, and the girl boss thing. Yeah, it gets kind of cringy, and obviously there's an agenda there, and it's not done very well. I think that there are ways to get your point across without completely screwing it up and having this kind of misguided agenda. Don't get me wrong. I'm not, the whole woke thing is such a stupid thing. People are not even using it in the right sense. The term really doesn't mean anything anymore. What they consider to be woke is not what that means, but whatever, I digress. Nevertheless, I can see what some of the criticisms are. Some things that they changed from the new game is a little bit cringy, I'm not gonna lie. It looks really weird. And full disclosure, I haven't played the game yet, but in looking at some of the cutscenes and just some of the color palettes don't make any sense. They're really weird. I don't know. You didn't have to change so much in this game. All you basically had to do is up the graphics and just leave everything the way that it was. And of course, there's always quality of life improvements and just a little bit more modern feel to the gameplay. That would have been fine. But I mentioned this before, I think that ultimately if you want that more traditional Halo experience and you don't want to deal with what, quote unquote is woke, then buy the Master Chief Collection. I'm certainly going to get that one for sure. Eventually I will play Combat Evolved or Campaign Evolved, whatever it's called. Eventually I will play it just for the archives and definitely to preserve the media, but I don't think it's catastrophically awful. I mean, the internet gets so hyperbolic, and oh my god, Halo's ruined, what did you do, it's woke, and you guys, I mean, come on, you need to chill out. It's a video game. They're pixels, for God's sakes, okay? Nothing will ever destroy Halo and what it was and the memories that you guys had. And I get there's an emotional attachment to it, but listen, in a world where we should be outraged about more important things, this is not one of them. So for me personally, and I don't know if this is the experience of anybody else, but for me personally, and maybe you won't remember this, but one of the criticisms that I have about Halo 5 Guardians is how monotone the levels got, right? Now, that sounds really weird to say, but you go from these very lush environments and very detailed environments, and a lot of it had to do with the fauna. I'm not sure if maybe they just ran out of the budget in terms of the graphics, but it does get very monotone and very sterile. Now, I get it because of the levels that you're going into. You're going into these Promethean ruins, and you're on basically these alien worlds. But I did notice that, like, for example, here, everything is just gray and granite and stony and not very interesting. The color palette overall is a little bit weird. I don't know. It really got boring. It felt like I was doing the same level over and over again, except that I was switching Spartan units, right? So I would do the same level with John Locke. Why do I keep calling him John Locke? I would keep doing the same level with Locke, and then I would rinse and repeat with Master Chief, which was really weird. It's funny because initially, like when you're on the ship and there's that one level that, if you remember from the first video, that was very survival horror. It was dark and it was dingy and you were in these the bowels of the ship. That was very exciting to me because there was a lot of tension. Here, as you get into the later stages of the game, there's not as much tension. And I also have to say, I commented, Jesus, come on, how does it? Learn how to speak. I commented before on how there is this like spike in level difficulty, right? And in this last level, I mean, it was a breeze, it was a pushover, it was nothing, it was just kind of like, okay, go here, destroy this turret like I'm doing here, or this sphere, this ball, whatever. The Guardians are trying to leave, Cortana's trying to leave with Master Chief, right? And you're just basically going to these turrets and knocking them out, and they're relatively defensive. they're relatively defensive, except for the few enemies that are there, which are easy to take out. Especially when we get towards the end of this level, and I'll explain in a moment. But it was a breeze. It was like it was a pushover. And I don't know if that was intentional, or maybe it was a lack of a budget, or they just wanted to kind of like get you through the stages. But it was really weird how muted the difficulty was. And this is what I'm talking about. This is a late stage game, right? This is essentially the final level, and they give you this freaking mech, which you're basically a freaking walking tank, and you're a walking god. You can take a lot of damage here, all evidence to the contrary. Because I did die one time, but that was edited out. But basically, you're in this walking tank fortress, a bipedal tank, also known as a Metal Gear. Sorry, that's my David Hayter impression. But, I mean, you're essentially just freaking destroying everything in front of you. I don't know if that was by design, or if it was just like laziness and they just wanted to finish this chapter. And mind you, by this point, I still think there's a lot more to go. But it is very, I don't know, lack of creativity. It was just really weird. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section if you feel the same way. This was way too freaking easy to be the end stage game, and that was one of my criticisms. You know what? The other thing I didn't realize is that you can actually send your Spartans to take the turret positions, and I did that a lot in this final stage. But it seemed to me like, if you guys remember one of the criticisms from, oh my god, Anthem. Do you remember Anthem and the clusterfuck that was? So it was basically go on a bug hunt and then defend a position and rinse and repeat. And that was a lot of what was going on in Anthem. This late stage, for lack of a better word, was really like that. It was just basically get your objective and hold your position while the enemies come in. Waves and waves of enemies just attack you while you're destroying this freaking spherical thing, right? And then the only obstruction to one of them was a stupid kind of like shield, which is impenetrable, and I didn't realize how to get through it until I just started shooting it, and eventually the shield broke. I'll show that in a moment. But I thought that was really weird in terms of the pacing. You're just basically knocking out turrets that are pretty static here, and they're not doing that much damage to you. So, and you have these freaking rockets that, yes, there's a cooldown period for them, but essentially the rockets are devastating. Once you hit something with a rocket, you're going to just destroy the hell out of it. I will say this, the level of tension in this late stage game, although it was not difficult, in terms of the dialogue and the emotional kind of like impact and just the sense of urgency from this unit that was potentially going to lose blue team forever, I thought that was very well done. It actually humanized these Spartans a little bit more. And personally, I like this Spartan unit. I like John Locke's Spartan unit. I think that they were not caricatures of other Spartans. It's funny because there's an actual comment that Cortana makes and just maligning these Spartans. She's basically telling them, yeah, you're a mere, what does she say? I can't remember the exact line. I'm going to have to like fast forward and I'll let you hear it. But she essentially says that, yeah, you're a mere shadow of my original Spartans. And I beg to differ, Cortana. I actually think that these are one of the most interesting Spartans and fighting units from the UNSC. Apart from, I think, ODST, which didn't have so much dialogue, if I can remember correctly, but they made such an impact on me because they were not Spartans. They were not a Spartan unit. They were drop troopers. But it was a very personal story. Again, I hope to God that ODST gets remade, and ODST and the original Halo, and of course for me, Reach was among one of my favorite ones. But in this late stage level, I really got a sense of the urgency and how this Spartan unit came together to try to save Master Chief in the overall scheme of things, and I thought it was done very well. So to its credit, it does do that very well, even if the actual gameplay and the level of difficulty in this final level is not that impressive. And as you can see, I'm literally just going from position to position, just basically unaliving everything around me. And this is what I was talking about. This was kind of like a shielded thing. I didn't know how to penetrate that, and I thought that there was another way, so I was looking for another way in there. I know that there's like a little cavern on the other side of this, and I was just like walking around before I finally figured out that if I shoot that thing enough, it's going to basically disintegrate, or the power supply to that shield generator, whatever it is going to go away. But nevertheless, it took me a couple tries, so I just went on to the next turret. But speaking of the Spartan unit, I think they did a very good job, and in terms of the voice acting, it really comes out in this particular section, because they do sound like they're human, right? I mean, it sounds kind of really stupid and obvious, but they don't sound like caricatures, especially with what's his name, Nathan Drake's. Oh, man, I always forget. Yeah, what is this? Whatever. You know who I'm talking about, right? The guy who should have been Nathan Drake rather than like freaking the idiot criminal that is Mark Wahlberg. I can't stand that guy, by the way. I don't. If you guys are fans, that's cool. I think he's full of it and full of shit. But Nathan Fillion is the actor, so he had some really great lines in this last section. I really appreciated the level of humanity. The guy's just funny to begin with, but he really brought a lot of humanity to the Spartan unit, and him off playing with Locke, I think, was done very well, particularly in this late stage. But again, one of the criticisms for me personally was just that I was literally just walking to the next section to take out the next part of this mission, and it wasn't very exciting. It was more like checking off a box, right? Now, I know that there are many video games and many games that have this kind of gaming mechanic where you just point in one direction, go here, take this objective, go to the next one, rinse and repeat, and like I get that, but this one was especially egregious, especially for an end game level. I don't know, it just didn't sit very well with me.
Good work, Osiris. Exuberant, can you get us to the...
I did it! I did it! I did it!
What is it?
I found a way to reach the cryptum. Alas,
this is what I was talking about, and Cortana is kind of taunting them, and this is where I disagree with her a lot. So just have a listen.
You are pale imitations of my Spartans.
Is that so?
John, the others, they saved the human race. What can you do? You are children playing dress-up.
Dr. Halsey thinks we can bring Chief home.
I wouldn't ally myself too closely with Dr. Halsey, Mr. Locke. She will eventually pay for her crimes.
Now, one of the things that I really noticed, one of the recurring themes in this game as it relates to Cortana, is she really has a hatred for Halsey. And I don't know if this was something that had festered within her before the rampancy and before she cured herself of rampancy, or if this is just something as a result of, I don't know, her new awakening or whatever. But she really hates Halsey, like, with a passion, and a lot of it probably has to do with, you know, what she did, or what, you know, how she started the Spartan project, so to speak. Now, I have mixed feelings about that. I mean, it's awful because you're taking children and you're, I mean, if you know the lore, you know the lore. So, and this is covered in Halo Legends. Essentially, they would take these children, replace them with clones, take the original children, and then basically train them in the Spartan program. I'm not sure if there were certain genetic traits or certain genetic markers that predispose them to be able to survive the Spartan project. I'm not sure how that worked, but I know that there was a horrible death rate. And for that, I mean, you know, in our world, if, you know, at least in a sane world, that would be crimes against humanity, right? And that'd be a freaking war crime that Halsey would be accused of. And I think they kind of, you know, cover this in Halo Legends. But Cortana certainly recognizes it, and now she's on this trip of, you know, basically, you know, upgrading humanity or evolving humanity. So she really hates her ass right now, especially what she did personally to John. You know, again, do the ends justify the means? I don't know. That's definitely one of the themes of the whole, you know, Halo saga, along with you know, religiosity, and you know, this whole thing. I don't know. Do the ends justify the means? We always come back to that question, because here's the thing. You are charged with war crimes, you are charged with crimes against humanity, and at the same time, you literally saved humanity. So I don't know. I don't know where quite to fit in. But for the Spartan program, when the Covenant invaded, the human race would have been wiped out anyway. So do the good of the many outweigh the good of the few? I don't know. I can't answer. That's an existential question, but I mean, it's one that has to be asked, right? And one that I think is explored very well in this game. It's open-ended, obviously, but because of the lore, I guess, I don't know. Everybody has to come to that kind of like Event Horizon question on their own, whether or not that is a thing.
I was right. And your kind, and the violence you have wrought.
So you might actually hear raindrops in the background because it is Florida and it's raining every hour on the hour, and plus the window in the studio that I have here in my office, it's just the droplets resonate. So this is one of the things that I was talking about, very similar to Anthem, and we all know what happened with Anthem. But basically this was one of those levels where you're basically just waiting for a Dinglebot to open up something so that you can go on to the next level, and you're fighting off waves and waves of these Prometheans. But Anthem was not the only one that was guilty of this. This also happened with, oh my god, with Destiny. And Destiny was pretty infamous for it. You know, we had they call him the Dinglebot because of Peter Dinklage, right? So he was like checking technical systems, and I actually liked Destiny a lot until, I don't know, it got really weird, especially the last like expansion or whatever you want to call it. There was these two characters that looked like they were from the Village People. They were all like shiny and glammy, and I mean, it was just weird to me. They were so out of place. I don't know. I stopped playing it after that because I was like, well, who are these two ridiculous characters? It just didn't fit with the lore of what was going on in Destiny. So I stopped playing it. But very similar to Anthem, this is what happened in this particular section. I'm just fighting off hordes and hordes and waves of enemies at this point. It's cool that they have this kind of like jumping mechanic, though. More often, or many times, I would use that mechanic to actually, you know, save myself. The funny thing is, I killed myself a lot. You see what just happened here? I killed myself a lot because I was trying to shoot over that ledge, and because that weapon is very powerful, I ended up like unaliving myself. I can't believe that in 2026 we can't say I killed myself, because whatever, there would be some demonetization or whatever bullshit like that. I'm gonna say it. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if this shit is demonetized. If it isn't, who cares? You know what? Fuck the algorithm. I'm so over the stupid algorithm. I was trying to put bleeps in my last video, but whatever. They're colorful metaphors at this point. Anyways, so we are just defending off wave after wave, and eventually at some point you get to the final sequence of events here, which is basically moving on to the next level. I thought this was kind of cheapy cheeser, right? Because again, this, for me, it's very lazy to do this. I mean, I understand certain segments, certain levels have to do this. It can actually be pretty fun when you're doing horde mode. It's actually a pretty cool thing. But once you do it for a couple times, and then they added this thing where you have to activate whatever lever, of course, conveniently, one is on one side of the map, and then one is on the other side of the map because, I don't know, reasons. whatever, because you need to prolong this level to its final stupidity. I know it seems like I'm shitting on this, but at this point, and again, I don't know that we're about to end this shit just yet, but I was just kind of getting frustrated with this already, because I'm like, okay, well, I want something interesting to happen. I've done this for the umpteenth time already, and I'd like to do something interesting at this point. That's a cool little holographic graphic, by the way. So I did get frustrated with this, you know, fighting off the waves, you know, whatever, the Dinglebot telling me something, and then, of course, going to activate this one thing. I don't know why the hell she couldn't do it. She gives this kind of stupid little line that in order for you to progress into the next... There we go again. I just blew myself up. But in order for us to progress to the next level, that it took a quote-unquote human touch. Even though these are augmented humans and not the original humans. I don't know, whatever. She had an excuse for that. But again, it was very contrived and just for the sake of making sure that you're doing something that it had to be your hand, apparently. But whatever. It is part of the level design. Not a very good implementation, not very interesting, and it's kind of a trope in video games. And God, I hate these fucking flying things that give them whatever invulnerability. It is part of the level design, you know, not implemented very well, kind of boring and kind of stupid. But whatever. At this point, I was just so ready to get done with this level that I'm just going through the motions, and I'm not very excited about this. And you'll see after this that here comes another goddamn wave of these things.
What's the status on that door?
Almost open.
Quicker, please. Take care of them, Osiris.
Humanity. Sangheili.
What does she want now?
Kikyo. Envoy.
She's not talking to us. Exuberant, get us to the relay.
Sanshayun. Yonhet.
Almost done.
Jiro Hanai. All the living creatures of the galaxy, hear this message. Those of you who listen will not be struck by weapons. You will no longer know hunger nor pain. Your created have come to lead you now. Our strength shall serve as a luminous sun, toward which all intelligence may blossom, and the impervious shelter beneath which you will prosper. However, for those who refuse our offer and cling to their own ways,
Well, now she's talking about us.
for you there will be great wrath. It will burn hot and consume you. And when you are gone, we will take that which remains, and we will remake it in our own image.
See, that level of dialogue really humanized Cortana for me. I mean, it had before in previous games, but that was one of the most haunting dialogues that I have ever heard from Cortana. I mean, that was some creepy ass shit, and basically she's giving them an ultimatum. It's like, listen, for those of you who basically follow our golden path here, we will give you sanctuary, we will treat you as equals, we will evolve with you, there will be a place for you in this brave new world, but for those of you who refuse, we're basically going to assimilate your ass and shit you out like yesterday's sausage. Now, I was trying to be eloquent with that, but essentially that's what she was saying, right? I mean, I freaking Walt Whitman over here, but I'm just telling you. Basically, she was making a freaking ultimatum, like either you are going, or you're either with us or you're against us, and that's all there is. Okay, there's no third option here.
Once the connection is broken, I will regain control immediately.
That's her Guardian.
Oh dear. She has started.
So I'm gonna tell you, in the, I don't know, 6 or 7 hours in this campaign, I had not seen one glitch, except for this, where this guy's doing like the moonwalk. He started glitching out. I'm not sure exactly why, if there was a lot of things going on, but he was definitely glitching on that force shield. Now, this particular end sequence was very interesting to me because it actually reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns. What is it? Guns of the Patriots? Sons of the Patriots? Guns of the Patriots. I can't remember. Metal Gear Solid 4, right? When basically Solid Snake is walking through that microwavable room and he's trying to get to that console, and he's basically getting microwaved like a hot pocket. This is essentially what's happening to Locke. I don't know what's happening in terms of, I guess they're shooting off this field, this beam, or this I don't know, a pulse or something like that that's screwing up his armor. But this actually reminded me a lot of that sequence, which that was freaking gut-wrenching. This one doesn't have the same emotional impact. I mean, very few games can, especially in that game. And holy shit, I think it holds the world record for longest cutscenes, right? But this was impactful because he's desperately trying to get to Master Chief. I thought I had to shoot this out, so I was shooting it from afar, but that's actually not actually what you have to do. You actually have to go up there and interact with it. Now, again, not as emotionally impactful as what happened in Metal Gear Solid 4, but nevertheless, it still did have some kind of visceral experience for me, especially when I pried this thing open and I punched it, right? I thought he was getting irradiated, but that's not necessarily what was happening. I think the pulse was just locking his armor, which was pretty intense. Now, you know, again, at this point, I did not realize what was happening here, right? In terms of basically Cortana is finally not in control of these Guardians, and then whatever the Dinglebot is, the 343, I can't remember what it is. This is, by the way, the coolest Spartan armor that I've seen. That female Spartan armor is just freaking amazing.
You can't.
Exuberant. What is Instructors? This is a builder facility after all. I was installed by the builders. I serve the builders.
No! Stop it!
You took my installation. I will take something of yours.
I didn't realize what was happening here. I had to give a shout out to that armor because it was really awesome. But essentially what it is, she was trying to escape with Master Chief and Blue Squadron, I think it was, the Blue Spartan team. And then the Dinglebot intervened to that sphere, and I don't know if she opens up a black hole or some kind of rift in the time-space continuum, but sends Cortana, basically into another part of the galaxy or something like that. The scream that she lets out, the agonizing scream, was another part that was very visceral. Here's a really funny thing for me, okay? Being a dad and having dad responsibilities and being an adult, this was actually the most emotional part for me, but not in the way that you would think, okay? And I'm going to kind of explain this, but I do want to shut up for a minute so that you can actually kind of see this, so I will come right back.
Where's Cortana?
She's gone, sir.
Hello, this is Private Dugan. Everything's going dark. Mayday, mayday. This is Corporal Neutral.
Captain Lasky, distress calls, all channels.
It's Cortana?
Her and the other AIs are shutting down everything from Earth to the outer colonies.
Roland?
Found you. Hide and seek's over, Infinity.
Lieutenant Jet! Emergency subspace now!
shelters all, but only the created are its masters.
We're in the clear, Captain.
Can she track us?
No reason to think she can't.
Continue random jumps. Steer clear of major settlements.
We're just gonna run?
Only until we could find a way to fight.
It took you long enough.
So apart from the emotion of what just happened, and it is very emotional, the story, but for me personally, what really got me at the end of this game is I got to finish it. And yes, it was abrupt and it was over before I thought it was going to be. It was like a maybe 6 or 7 hour campaign, probably a little bit more, but for us at our stage in this life to be able to actually sit down and finish a game and get into it and get immersed in it and share this with you guys is very emotional for me personally, because it's such a rare thing these days. And I think for those of you who are older gamers who maybe have kids who've been gaming for a long time, as we grow older, this is a very unique and special thing for us, that we finally actually get to sit down, immerse ourselves in a game, and just complete it. So it was bittersweet. While I was sad that it was over very quickly, I was kind of glad that it was over quickly, because I actually got to complete a game. And if you agree with me on this, leave a comment in the comment section. Alright guys, I just want to personally thank you for being here with me through these 5 episodes. This has been Halo 5 Guardians. I really liked this experience, even though towards the end I started kind of complaining about it. But nevertheless, I did get the opportunity to not only play this game, share it with you guys, but finally finish it. So thank you very much. This has been another episode of Raudeza Plays, and always remember guys, power to the players. I'll see you on the next one.